The rain-slick streets of San Francisco gleamed under the sodium glow of street lamps as Adeline Beaumont stepped out of the black sedan, her heels clicking like accusations against the pavement. She had come to end it all. The legacy that choked her like fog rolling in from the bay. But the letter in her coat pocket burned hotter than any inheritance ever could. Adeline. Her father's voice echoed from a memory she wished she could drown. You're the future. But only if you play by the rules we've built. Adeline paused at the heavy oak doors of the Beaumont family estate in Pacific Heights, the house that had swallowed her childhood whole, and whispered to the night, what if the rules were always a lie? The door swung open before she could knock, revealing Elena Voss, the family's lawyer. Her dark hair pulled into a severe bun that did nothing to soften the intensity in her hazel eyes. Miss Beaumont, Elena said, her voice low and steady like the hum of the city below. Your father said you'd come. But he didn't say you'd look like you were burying him alive. Adeline Beaumont had always known the weight of expectation. But tonight it felt like the Golden Gate Bridge collapsing under her feet. 28. She was the only daughter of Harlan Beaumont, the titan of Beaumont Tech, whose algorithms powered half the surveillance cams in Silicon Valley, and whose fortune padded the pockets of politicians from Sacramento to D.C. The estate loomed behind her like a gilded cage, its Victorian turrets piercing the perpetual mist that clung to the hills. She had driven up from her cramped loft in the Mission District, where graffiti-streaked walls and the scent of street tacos offered a fragile rebellion against the sterile perfection of her upbringing. Elena's hand lingered a fraction too long on the door, her fingers brushing Adeline's sleeve, sending an unexpected spark through the damp fabric. Elena was 32, with the kind of poise that came from years of navigating boardrooms filled with men who underestimated her. Hired 5 years ago to handle the family's trusts and mergers, she had become indispensable. A shadow guardian who drafted contracts in the dead of night and whispered counsel in Harlan's ear during scandals that never saw daylight. Her suits were always charcoal gray or navy, cut sharp enough to slice through pretense, and her smile, rare as it was, held the warmth of aged whiskey. Come inside, Elena urged, stepping aside. It's pouring. And you've got that look like you're about to declare war on the will. Adeline crossed the threshold, the foyer enveloping her in the familiar hush of Persian rugs and crystal chandeliers. The air smelled of leather-bound books and her mother's absent perfume, a ghost that haunted every corner since Vivian Beaumont's overdose a decade ago. Harlan was upstairs, bedridden now with the pancreatic cancer that had metastasized like his regrets. But his presence pulsed through the walls. I am declaring war, Adeline said, peeling off her wet coat and draping it over a Chippendale chair. Water dripped onto the marble floor, pooling like tears. On all of it. The company, the money, the lies. I'm signing the papers to renounce everything. Elena's eyebrows arched, a flicker of surprise breaking her composure. She led Adeline to the study, where a fire crackled in the grate, casting dancing shadows on shelves lined with first editions and framed patents. Harlan's desk dominated the room, a monolithic slab of walnut scarred from decades of furious scribbles. Elena poured 2 fingers of scotch into crystal tumblers, the liquid glinting amber in the firelight. Renounce, Elena echoed, handing Adeline the glass. Their fingers touched again, deliberate this time, and Adeline felt a pull, magnetic and forbidden, like the tide dragging her toward jagged rocks. That's not just a signature, Adeline. That's erasing your name from the empire your grandfather built from nothing. Your father. My father built it on the backs of people he surveilled and silenced, Adeline interrupted, her voice cracking like thunder over the bay. She took a sip, the burn steadying her. Algorithms that track every move, every descent. I coded the first one when I was 16, thinking it was progress. Now I see its chains. Elena leaned against the desk, arms crossed, studying Adeline with an intensity that made the room feel smaller. And what will you do? Vanish into some artist commune in Big Sur? Paint your way out of privilege? The word stung, laced with a challenge that Adeline hadn't expected. She set the glass down, stepping closer, close enough to catch the faint citrus of Elena's cologne. Maybe. Or maybe I'll expose it all. The offshore accounts. The bribes. I found the letter in his safe, proof he's been laundering through shell companies in the Caymans. If I walk away clean, someone else will torch it down. Elena's face tightened, a mask slipping for the briefest moment. She glanced toward the door, as if Harlan's ghost might overhear. You don't know what you're stirring. Harlan's not just sick, he's cornered. The board's circling. And if this gets out, then let it, Adeline whispered, her breath mingling with Elena's. The fire popped, embers flaring like unspoken desires. In that charged silence, Adeline saw it, the crack in Elena's armor, the vulnerability beneath the legal briefs and late-night filings. Elena, who had arrived in San Francisco from a nowhere town in Oregon, clawing her way through law school on scholarships in spite, only to bind herself to the Beaumonts for a paycheck that bought silence. Elena's hand rose, almost touching Adeline's cheek, then fell away. You're playing with fire, Adeline. And I'm the one who has to put it out. The clock on the mantel struck 11, its chimes reverberating through the house like a heartbeat quickening. Adeline should have left then, retreated to her loft where the city's pulse drowned out family echoes. But she stayed, drawn into Elena's orbit, the two of them circling the desk like planets on a collision course. They talked until the fire died to coals, voices weaving through the shadows. Adeline spoke of her mother, Vivian, the ethereal painter who had checked out one rainy afternoon with a bottle of pills and a canvas left half-finished, a swirling vortex of blues that mirrored the bay's depths. She saw too much, Adeline said, tracing the rim of her empty glass. The hypocrisy. Harlan preaching innovation while crushing unions. She painted it out, but it ate her alive. Elena nodded, her own story slipping out in fragments. Born Elena Marie Voss in a trailer park outside Portland, she had buried her father young, overdose, like Vivian, and her mother had remarried a man whose fists left bruises Elena hid under oversized sweaters. Law school was her escape, a ticket to power. But the Beaumonts had become her cage. I protect what's mine, she said softly, eyes locking on Adeline's. Even when it costs me. The admission hung between them, heavy with implication. Adeline felt it then. The shift, a current pulling her under. Warm and terrifying. She had dated men in college. Safe experiments that fizzled like faulty code. But women. Women lingered in her dreams. Fierce and uncharted. Elena was the first to make her pulse stutter. To make the room tilt. As midnight approached, Harlan's nurse appeared in the doorway. A spectral figure in scrubs. He's asking for you, Miss Beaumont. Adeline rose, reluctance coiling in her gut. Elena followed her up the grand staircase, the wood creaking under their steps. Harlan's bedroom was a sanctuary of monitors and morphine drips. The man who once commanded rooms now reduced to a husk against white linens. His eyes, sharp as ever, fixed on Adeline. "Daughter," he rasped, voice like gravel. "Don't be a fool. The company's your birthright." She stood at the foot of the bed, Elena a silent sentinel beside her. "Birthrights come with blood, Dad. And I'm done spilling mine." Harlan's gaze flicked to Elena, a silent command passing between them. "Voss will handle it. She's loyal. Loyal." The word twisted in Adeline's chest. As they descended, she turned to Elena in the hallway, the house settling around them like a sigh. "Are you loyal to him? Or to this?" Elena's response was a brush of lips against Adeline's temple. Featherlight, gone before it could be named. "Stay tonight. Think it through." Adeline did stay. In the guest room with its four-poster bed and view of the glittering bridge. Sleep evaded her, thoughts tumbling like code in a loop. Elena's touch replayed. Electric. Awakening something dormant. A hunger for truth. For touch that didn't demand performance. Dawn broke gray and relentless. Fog blanketing the city. Adeline found Elena in the kitchen, brewing coffee. Sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms etched with a faint tattoo. A laurel wreath. Symbol of victory or delusion. They ate in silence at first. Toast and black coffee. The domesticity jarring against the night's revelations. "I meant what I said," Adeline ventured, watching Elena's hands cradle the mug. About walking away, Elena set her cup down, leaning forward. "Then let me help you do it right. Trusts can be severed cleanly, no scorched earth." "But Harlan, he's protecting more than the money." Adeline's fork paused midway to her mouth. "Protecting what?" Elena's eyes darkened, secrets pooling like ink. "Family. Always family." The word echoed, layered with meanings Adeline couldn't yet parse. She reached across the table, her hand covering Elena's, skin warm and real. "And you? Who protects you?" For the first time, Elena's mask cracked fully, a smile soft as morning light. "Maybe I don't need protecting. Maybe I need this." Their fingers intertwined, a promise unspoken. Adeline felt the world expand, possibilities blooming like jacaranda in spring. But beneath it, a shadow lingered, the letter in her pocket, Harlan's rasp of loyalty, Elena's guarded gaze. As the sun burned through the fog, Adeline drove back to the mission, Elena's number burning in her phone like a talisman. The city unfolded below her, vibrant and unforgiving, a canvas for reinvention. Little did she know, the brushstrokes would soon bleed red with betrayal. The weeks blurred into a haze of clandestine meetings and stolen glances, Adeline and Elena orbiting each other like electrons in a volatile atom. Adeline's loft became their sanctuary, a third-floor walk-up with exposed brick and a window overlooking the bustle of 24th Street. Here, away from the estate's watchful eyes, they shed their armor. Elena arrived after dark, shedding her pinstripes for Adeline's oversized sweaters and jeans that hugged her like confessions. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, painting the room in hues of tangerine and rose, Adeline traced the line of Elena's jaw with her fingertip. They lay tangled on the futon, sheets rumpled from lazy afternoons that stretched into nights. "Tell me about the tattoo," Adeline murmured. her breath warm against Elena's collarbone. Elena shifted, propping herself on an elbow, her hair loose and wild, a chestnut cascade that softened her edges. Got it after my first big win defending a client pro bono. Some kid from the project's accused of hacking a bank's firewall. Laurel for triumph. But really, it's for the thorns you don't see coming. Adeline smiled, pulling her closer. Their lips met in a slow burn, tongues dancing like arguments won and lost. Elena's hands roamed, mapping Adeline's curves with a lawyer's precision, deliberate, claiming. Adeline arched into the touch, gasping as Elena's mouth trailed fire down her neck, nipping at the pulse that betrayed her racing heart. "You're unraveling me," Adeline whispered, fingers threading through Elena's hair. "Good," Elena replied, voice husky. Threads were never your strong suit. Laughter bubbled between them, light and freeing, a counterpoint to the tension coiling in Adeline's core. She had always moved through life like a ghost in her own story, polite at galas, brilliant in board meetings, but hollow. With Elena, she felt solid, seen. Their lovemaking was a revelation, urgent one night, as if time pressed against their skin, tender the next, bodies sinking like well-oiled code. Yet, cracks spiderwebbed beneath the surface. Adeline's renunciation papers sat unsigned on her coffee table, a stack of legalese Elena reviewed with meticulous care. "This clause here," Elena would say, red pen in hand, "it ties up loose ends with the foundation. Sign it, and you're free, but the board will fight." Adeline nodded, but doubt not. Harlan's condition worsened. Calls from the estate grew frequent, laced with please masked as updates. "He's asking about you," the nurse would say, and Adeline would hang up, guilt twisting like fog in her lungs. One crisp October afternoon, they walked the Embarcadero, hands brushing in the crowd of tourists and tech bros. The bay sparkled, ferries cutting white wakes, Alcatraz a distant silhouette. Elena bought them gelato from a vendor, pistachio for Adeline, stracciatella for herself, and they sat on a bench, legs entwined, watching joggers blur past. "I want to meet your world," Adeline said suddenly, licking her spoon clean. "Not the Beaumonts. You." The Elena before the suits. Elena's spoon paused, a shadow crossing her face. "It's not pretty. Trailer parks, bar fights, my stepdad's temper. I left it in the rearview when I crossed the border into California." "But it's you," Adeline pressed, leaning in. "The roots that made you fierce." Elena sighed, gaze drifting to the water. "Fierce is survival, not a badge. But all right. Next weekend, we'll drive to Astoria, my mom's place now, after she ditched the asshole. Fair warning, it's chaos with a side of casseroles." Adeline's heart swelled, the invitation a bridge to uncharted territory. She kissed Elena then, public and unapologetic, tasting sweetness and salt. Passerby whistled, but the world narrowed to Elena's sigh, her hand cupping Adeline's nape. That night, back in the loft, passion ignited anew. Elena pinned Adeline against the wall, their bodies grinding in rhythm with the distant hum of BART trains. Clothes shed in a frenzy, blouse buttons scattering like pearls, jeans kicked aside. Adeline's nails raked Elena's back, drawing a moan that echoed off the bricks. They collapsed to the floor, a tangle of limbs and whispers, Elena's fingers coaxing waves of pleasure that left Adeline trembling. Exposed. I love you, Adeline breathed in the afterglow, the words slipping out unbidden. Elena's body stilled, then softened. She brushed a lock from Adeline's forehead, eyes searching. Love's a contract, Adeline. Hard to break, harder to enforce, but worth it, Adeline insisted, pulling her down for another kiss. As autumn deepened, their rhythm solidified. Elena cooked pasta in Adeline's tiny kitchen, arguing over al dente versus soft. Adeline dragged her to indie films at the Roxy, their commentary a private duet in the dark. Harlan's shadow loomed, though letters from the estate arrived, veiled threats wrapped in concern. The will changes if you persist, one read, signed in Harlan's weakening scrawl. Elena burned it in the sink, flame licking the paper black. Ignore him. Focus on us. But Adeline couldn't. Sleepless nights brought dreams of Vivian, her mother's laughter fracturing into sobs, pills spilling like confetti. She woke sweating, Elena's arm an anchor across her waist. It's the past, Elena murmured, kissing her shoulder. Let it go, easier said. Adeline dove into research, hacking old family servers from her laptop, a skill Harlan had nurtured, now turned against him. She uncovered fragments, emails about contingencies, transfers to accounts in Harlan's name but routed oddly, through a firm Elena had founded pre-Beaumont's. Coincidence? She told herself. Trust? She echoed. The weekend to Astoria arrived under steel skies. They piled into Adeline's vintage Mustang, top down despite the chill, wind whipping their scarves as they crossed the Golden Gate. Elena pointed out landmarks, her law school haunt in Berkeley, a dive bar in Oakland where she'd nursed her first heartbreak, a woman with fire-red hair and a laugh like breaking glass. Before you, Adeline teased, hand on Elena's thigh. Before everything, Elena admitted. She left when the hours got long. Law doesn't leave room for soft landings. Oregon unfolded in greens and grays, the coast rugged as Elena's tales. Astoria clung to cliffs, fishing boats bobbing in the Columbia River's mouth. Elena's mother's bungalow sagged under ivy, porch light flickering welcome. Marla Voss enveloped them in hugs scented with lavender and regret, her silver-streaked hair in a messy bun. Ellie, Marla crowed, pulling Elena close. And this is the one who's got you smiling like a fool. Adeline blushed, but the warmth seeped in. Dinner was pot roast and stories, Marla's nursing days, Elena's childhood pranks, the stepfather's exile after a final bruise. Laughter flowed, wine loosening tongues. Adeline felt it then, belonging not to blood but to chosen threads. Later, on the porch swing, stars pricking the velvet sky, Elena leaned her head on Adeline's shoulder. Thank you for this. It's healing. Adeline kissed her temple. We're healing each other. But as they drove back, radio crooning indie folk, Adeline's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Ask Voss about the Cayman ledgers. Before you sign your soul away. Her stomach plummeted, the road blurring. Elena noticed, hand squeezing her knee. What is it? Nothing, Adeline lied, pocketing the phone. But the seed was planted, doubt sprouting thorns. Back in the city, normalcy fractured. Meetings with Elena turned tense, papers scrutinized for hidden clauses. Adeline's hacks deepen, unearthing more. Elena's signature on transfers. Dates aligning with Harlan's illnesses. Protect the family, Harlan had said. But whose family? One night, after a gala where Adeline played Heiress to perfection, smiling through toasts to innovation, Elena waited in the loft. Wine poured, candles flickering. You were radiant, she said, drawing Adeline into an embrace. But Adeline pulled back, the text burning in her mind. Radiant or radioactive? Tell me about the ledgers. Elena's face paled, wineglass trembling. What ledgers? Don't, Adeline snapped. Voice raw. I saw the emails. You're not just his lawyer, you're his shield. The air thickened, accusation hanging like smoke. Elena set the glass down, stepping close. It's not what you think. Harlan's desperate. Cancer's eating him. Creditors circling. Those transfers. They're for you. To secure your cut. Clean. Adeline laughed. Bitter as bay salt. My cut? I'm walking away. Unless this is why. Buying my silence with dirty money. Elena's eyes flashed, hurt mingling with fire. I protect what's mine. Remember, you included. They collided then. Not in passion but fury, words hurled like grenades. Liar, Adeline spat. You're just like him. Elena's retort cut deep. And you're running. Like Vivian. Afraid of the mess. The slap of truth silenced them. Adeline stormed out. Into the neon night. Tears hot on her cheeks. Elena didn't follow. Days stretched into silence. Texts unread. Calls voicemailed to oblivion. Adeline threw herself into code. Building an app for whistleblowers. Anonymity for the surveilled. It was catharsis. Fingers flying over keys. But hollow without Elena's steady presence. Harlan summoned her then. Voice frail over the line. Come home. Girl. Time's short. She went. Steeling herself against the estate's pull. Harlan lay propped in his study. Oxygen mask fogging his breaths. Elena was there. Poised by the window. Gaze averted. Sign the papers, Harlan wheezed, gesturing to the desk. Or lose it all. Adeline's eyes met Elena's. A storm brewing. Lose what? The lies. Harlan coughed. A wet rattle. Elena knows. She's kept it buried for you. Buried. The word ignited. Adeline snatched the top sheet, her renunciation. Altered. Clauses binding her to the board. Gagging future disclosures. Elena's revisions. You changed it, Adeline accused. Whirling on her. Trapping me. Elena stepped forward. Voice breaking. No, protecting you from him. From the fallout. Harlan's laugh was a rasp. Smart girl. Fuss. Always one step ahead. The room spun. Betrayals layering like fog. Adeline fled. Papers scattering like leaves. Outside. Rain lashed the city, mirroring her turmoil. She drove aimlessly, ending at the bridge's span. Wind howling through the cables. Elena's car pulled up minutes later. Headlights cutting the downpour. She emerged. Soaked. Eyes pleading. Let me explain. Adeline gripped the railing. Knuckles white. Who are you protecting? Elena? Him? Or us? Elena closed the distance. Rain streaming down her face. You. Always you. The ledgers, Harlan's hiding an affair. A son. Illegitimate. From before Vivian. He's been funneling money to keep it quiet. To keep the board from imploding. I rerouted it to a trust in your name. Anonymous. So you could walk clean. Adeline's breath hitched. A brother? And you let me think. I couldn't tell you. Attorney-client. But I chose you over him. The confession hung. Raw and redemptive. Adeline pulled her close. Rain mingling with tears. Lips crashing in desperate need. They kissed like drowning. Hands clutching wet fabric. The bridge swaying beneath them. Forgive me, Elena gasped. Not yet, Adeline replied. But her arms tightened. Holding on. Winter gripped San Francisco with uncharacteristic ferocity. Winds whipping off the Pacific like Harlan's dying breaths. Ragged. Unrelenting. Adeline and Elena rebuilt in fits and starts. Their bond a scaffold over the chasm of doubt. Nights were spent in Elena's No Valley apartment. A sleek space with mid-century furniture and views of twinkling Castro lights. Here. Vulnerability unfurled like fern fronds after rain. Adeline learned Elena's rhythms. The way she paced during calls. Muttering legalese like incantations. The soft hum she made stirring risotto. A habit from Marla's kitchen. In turn, Elena coaxed Adeline's stories. Nights coding alone in Vivian's studio. The easel still bearing paint flecks like forgotten dreams. You're a creator, Elena said one evening. As they sorted through Vivian's archived canvases. Shipped from storage at Adeline's request. The paintings leaned against walls. Vivid whirlpools of color capturing the city's soul turbulent bays. Neon-veined streets. Adeline touched a frame. Fingers tracing cobalt swirls. She created escapes. I want to build them. Not just dream. Elena's arm slipped around her waist. Then do it. With me. The idea sparked. A joint venture. Adeline's whistleblower app. Reimagined as a platform for artists and activists. Secure uploads. Encrypted shares. Funded by a sliver of her inheritance. Laundered clean through Elena's trusts. They worked late. Laptops glowing. Takeout containers piling like evidence. But Harlan's specter loomed. His condition plummeted. Hospice whispers filtered through. Adeline visited sporadically. Each trip a minefield. He rambled now. Morphine blurring edges. Tales of youth in the valley. Bootstrapping Beaumont tech from a garage amid the counterculture haze. Missed the revolution, he'd mutter. Built walls instead. Elena stayed away. Respecting the fracture. But her influence lingered in the revised while Harlan pressed Adeline to review. She's ensuring your security, he insisted. Eyes milky. Don't throw it away on ghosts. Ghosts. Vivian's face haunted Adeline's dreams. Superimposed over Harlan's confessions. One visit. He gripped her hand. Skin paper thin. There's a boy. Ada. Your half-brother. In Seattle. Elena knows. Don't let the vultures find him. The revelation landed like a glitch in code. Unexpected. Cascading errors. Adeline confronted Elena that night. Bursting into the apartment. Code shedding rain like accusations. A brother? You knew and said nothing. Elena rose from her desk. Paper scattering. Harlan's confession. I was sworn. But yes, I met him once. A kid named Theo. 16. Awkward as hell. Harlan's paying tuition. Keeping distance to protect the shares. Adeline paced. Fury boiling. Protect the shares? Or bury the scandal? Got. Elena. How deep does this go? Elena's voice steadied. An anchor in the storm. Deep enough to drown us if it breaks. But I pushed for contact private. No strings. For you. Not the Empire. Adeline halted, searching Elena's face. The hazel depths held no deceit. Only weariness etched like fine lines around her eyes. She crossed the room, cupping Elena's face. I need truth. All of it. No more shields. Elena nodded, pulling her down to the rug. They sat knee to knee. Elena unraveling the tapestry, Harlan's affair in the 80s, a summer fling with a coder named Lila, Theo born amid .com frenzy, payments hidden in consulting fees, Elena discovering the web during a routine audit 3 years prior. I could have blown it open, she said, voice low. But Harlan begged for the boy, for Vivian's memory. Stability over chaos. Adeline absorbed it. Pieces slotting. And me? In this mess. You were the light, Elena whispered, thumb brushing Adeline's lip. The reason I stayed. To carve a way out for you. Tears welled. Spilling hot. Adeline leaned in. Their foreheads touching. Breath sinking. I love you, she said again. Sure now. But love isn't enough if it's built on sand. It's granite, Elena replied, kissing her softly, then deeper. Urgency building. They moved to the bedroom, shedding layers silk camisole, cotton briefs, bodies familiar yet renewed. Elena's mouth explored, reverent, drawing sighs from Adeline like strings plucked. Pleasure crested slow. A tide rising, crashing in shudders that left them entwined, sweat slick and spent. Morning brought resolve. Adeline texted Theo, a hesitant hey. Amada. We should talk. His reply a cautious emoji. A door cracked. Harlan died 2 weeks later. On a fog-shrouded solstice. The estate buzzed with suits and condolences. Vultures in Armani circling the carcass. Adeline stood at the graveside in Presidio. Earth damp under heels. Elena's hand a secret clasp behind her back. Harlan's casket lowered into redwood shade. Vivian's plot nearby. Side by side in death as never in life. The reading followed in the study. Elena presiding like a priestess. Bequests flowed, millions to charities. The company to a nephew. But Adeline's share. A tidy 20 mil in diversified trusts. With strings Elena had snipped. Unencumbered, she announced. Sliding the documents across. Board members grumbled. Eyes sharp as Harlan's had been. This sets precedent, one muttered. A silver-haired exec named Caldwell. Adeline met his gaze. Precedent for freedom. Mr. Caldwell. Feel free to follow. Outside. Reporters swarmed. Flashes popping like gunfire. Elena shielded her. Arm around waist. Steering to the sedan. You were magnificent. Adeline exhaled. Tension uncoiling. We were. Freedom tasted like salt air and possibility. They launched the app named Unseen. A nod to Vivian's hidden strokes. Beta testing with queer artists in the Castro. Activists from Oakland. Theo visited. A lanky teen with Harlan's jaw and Lila's eyes. Awkward hugs evolving to late-night Mario Kart sessions in the loft. You're not what I expected, he said one night. Controller paused. Dad, Harlan made you sound like a myth. Adeline laughed, ruffling his hair. Myths bleed too. Stick around, we'll rewrite ours. Elena watched from the kitchen, affection softening her features. Their life wove tighter. Brunches at Tartine. Hikes in Marin where eucalyptus scented the trails. Nights where lovemaking blurred into dawn. Bodies a language of forgiveness. But winter's end brought spring's tempests. Caldwell surfaced. Anonymous leaks hitting the Chronicle Beaumont Tech's dirty secrets. Cayman splashed in headlines. The app surged in downloads. Users pouring stories of surveillance horrors. But backlash bit. Trolls doxing beta testers. Board suing for defamation. Adeline's phone rang mid-meeting. Elena's voice tight. It's a setup. Caldwell's gunning for the trust's claims fraud. They met at a cafe in Hayes Valley. Rain pattering the awning. Elena's tablet glowed with filings. We fight. Discovery will expose him. Adeline's hand shook. Or bury us. Theo's safe. But the app. Elena's grip steadied her. We'll pivot. You're not alone. The battle raged through April blooms. Depositions dragged. Elena cross-examining with scalpel precision. Unearthing Caldwell's own skeletons, insider trades. Mistresses on payroll. Adeline testified. Voice steady. Recounting Harlan's empire not as glory but cautionary code. Climax crested in court. Federal building echoing with verdicts. Judge ruled for settlement, trusts intact. App shielded under new privacy laws spurred by the scandal. Caldwell slunk away. Tail between legs. Outside. Sun-breaking clouds. Adeline pulled Elena into an alley. Kissing her fierce against graffiti walls. We won. Elena grinned. Breathless. Told you, granite. Summer simmered in. Their love ripening. Adeline's app went viral. Features in Wired hailing the Heiress hacker. Theo enrolled at USF. Majoring in ethics, irony not lost. Marla visited. Casseroles and all. Toasting to thorns and triumphs. Yet, in quiet moments, Adeline pondered the cost. The brother revealed too late. Harlan's grave a marker of what-ifs. Elena sensed it. Holding her closer. Healing's not linear, she'd say. Fingers tracing laurels on skin. Adeline nodded. Content in the curve of her neck. But it's ours. As summer's heat baked the city into a languid haze, Adeline and Elena's world expanded beyond the confines of San Francisco's hills. They escaped to Big Sur one weekend. The Mustang hugging coastal curves. Pacific crashing below like applause for their survival. Elena drove. Wind tousling her hair. Adeline's playlist of Joni Mitchell and Phoebe Bridgers weaving through the speakers. Remember when I threatened a commune here? Adeline teased. Foot propped on the dash. Skirt fluttering. Elena smirked. Hand sliding to her knee. Now you drag me into it, glamping with Wi-Fi and wine. The cabin was rustic chic. Redwoods whispering overhead. Hammock swing. They hiked to McWay Falls. Turquoise cascade spilling to sand. And made love on a blanket as dusk painted the sky violet. Elena's touches were worshipful. Lips mapping freckles like constellations. Drawing gasps that mingled with wave roars. You're my horizon, Adeline murmured. Spent and sated. Elena's reply was a kiss to her palm. And you're the pool. Back home. Momentum built. Unseen hit 1 million users. Partnerships blooming with NGOs in New York and queer collectives in Austin. Adeline keynote at TechCrunch Disrupt. Her talk, Code for Liberation, drawing standing ovations. Elena in the front row, pride lighting her eyes. Theo thrive, interning at the app, his fresh eyes spotting bugs Adeline missed. You're like the cool aunt I never had, he joked over pizza nights. But his hugs lingered. Gratitude unspoken for the brotherly bond forged from ashes. Yet, undercurrents stirred. Lila, Theo's mother, reached out, a tentative coffee in Seattle during a layover. Adeline flew up, nerves jangling like loose wires. Lila was a force, silver-flecked bob, laugh lines framing sharp wit. A graphic designer whose logos graced early Apple ads. I never wanted the money, Lila said over lattes in Pike Place. Market bustle a buffer. Just stability for him. Harlan promised discretion. Elena delivered it. Adeline stirred her cup. Foam heart dissolving. Discretion or deception? It nearly broke us. Lila's gaze softened. Love does that, exposes the rot. But you two. You're the repair. The absolution settled. A bomb. Adeline returned energized, sharing the transcript with Elena over candlelit dinner. She sees us. Really sees. Elena's fork paused. Vulnerability flickering. And you? Still seeing me. Thorns and all. Adeline rose, rounding the table to straddle her lap. Every prickle. Their kiss deepened. Hands roaming. Dinner forgotten. They migrated to the couch. Elena's fingers unbuttoning with intent, eliciting moans that fogged the windows. Adeline reciprocated. Knees bracketing hips. Grinding slow until release shattered them both. A symphony of sighs. Fall crept in on golden leaves. Adeline's birthday marking a pivot. 30 now. She hosted a small gathering. Theo, Marla, Elena's law partner Sasha, a few app collaborators. The loft brimmed with laughter. Cake smeared on plates. Toasts to futures unwritten. Elena's gift waited in the bedroom. A canvas. Vivian's last. Restored, the vortex resolved into a bridge spanning chaos. Light piercing dark. She finished it. In a way, Elena explained. Arm around Adeline's waist. Like us. Tears pricked. Adeline pulled her close. Marry me. The words hung. Impulsive yet inevitable. Elena's eyes widened, then warmed. Yes. But only if it's a contract we rewrite daily. Engagement rippled outward. Marla hooped over FaceTime. Theo fist pumped. Sasha drafted prenups with winks. Harlan's old circle grumbled. Scandalous union. But Adeline reveled in the rebellion. Posting a photo on social. Intertwined hands. Rings glinting. Caption building bridges. Winter solstice neared. Anniversary of Harlan's passing. Adeline organized a vigil at the Presidio. Lanterns floating on the bay for Vivian and the unspoken losses. Elena spoke. Voice carrying. We honor the broken code, but run toward the open source. After. In the estate, now Adeline's. Sold piecemeal to fund unseen, they made love in Vivian's old studio. Surrounded by ghosts turned guardians. Elena's body arched under Adeline's. Breaths ragged. Climax a release of held grief. Spring 2026 bloomed defiant. Wedding plans woven small. On a barren cliff. Wildflowers in waves. But shadows lengthened. An email pinged. Anonymous. Attached files. Caldwell again? No deeper. Scans of Harlan's journal. Digitized. Pages detailing not just the affair but Vivian's accident. Pills planted. Doubts of suicide. Adeline's world tilted. She thrust the tablet at Elena. Voice fracturing. Elena's face drained. I suspected. After his confession. But proof. You knew. Betrayal surged. Old wounds reopening. Adeline backed away. Heart hammering. All this time. Protecting a murderer. Elena reached. Desperate. No covering. To spare you. I was building a case. Quiet. For Theo. For closure. Lies, Adeline choked. Fleeing to the balcony. City lights mocked her. Vast and indifferent. Elena followed. Rain starting. I protected him to destroy him. The files, you have them now. We exposed together. Adeline whirled. Rain lashing. Trust me? After everything. Elena's knees hit pavement. Pulling Adeline down. I love you enough to break every oath. The dam burst, sobs racking Adeline. Elena holding through the deluge. Dawn found them shivering. Wrapped in a blanket. Truth a bitter dawn. The revelation carved a chasm. But Adeline and Elena bridged it with deliberate steps. Each day a plank laid over abyss. They hired a PI. A no-nonsense woman named Heiress from the Tenderloin. To verify the journal's claims. Weeks blurred in investigations. Interviews with Vivian's old circle. Tox reports exhumed from dusty archives. Harlan's physician cracking under subpoena pressure. He altered the script. The doc admitted over coffee in a Bernal diner. Hands trembling. Doubled the dose. Said it was mercy, her depression. The pain. But it was control. Adeline absorbed it in the booth's vinyl hush. Elena's boot nudging hers under the table. A tether. Rage simmered. Not at Elena. But the man who'd birthed her into shadows. Mercy, she echoed. Voice steel. He called murder mercy. Elena's hand covered hers. We'll name it. For her. The case built slow. A mosaic of evidence. Theo. Apprised gently. Raged in tandem, fists through drywall. Then quiet resolve. He was my ghost dad. Now he's nothing. Lila joined via video. Her artist's eye spotting forgeries in Harlan's ledgers. Tying financials to the cover-up. Artists see patterns, she said. Like family. Adeline's app evolved. A branch for cold cases, secure tips for the bereaved. Users trickled in widows. Siblings. Stories of gaslit grief. It healed her. Pixels turning pain to purpose. Through it. Elena anchored. Mornings started with coffee and case files. Evenings with slow dances in the kitchen to Nina Simone. Lovemaking shifted fiercer. Reclaiming agency. One night. Adeline bound Elena's wrists with silk ties. Teasing lips and tongue until please spilled. Please, Elena gasped. Arching. Adeline obliged. Fingers delving. Waves crashing until Elena shattered. Unbound. In turn, Elena orchestrated tenderness. Massages melting knots. Whispers of adoration against skin. You're unbreakable, she'd say. Entering Adeline slow. Gazes locked. Building to ecstasy that left them fused. Summer swelled. Wedding looming. They chose a date in July. Cliffside in Stinson Beach. Guests intimate. Marla officiating with hippie flair. Theo best man. Sasha maid of honor. Dresses flowed. Adeline in ivory lace. Elena in tailored sage. Waves their chorus. But pre-wedding jitters unearthed more. A box arrived at the loft. Unmarked. Vivian's letters. Hidden in estate attics. Adeline read them alone first. Curled on the futon. Ink faded but fierce. My Ada, one began. Dated weeks before the end. Don't let him dim your light. Love who you love. Code what you dream. I'm sorry I couldn't stay to see it. Tears-soaked pages. Vivian had known. Her daughter's quiet yearnings. The women in college photos tucked away. She saw me, Adeline told Elena later. Letters spread like cards. Elena gathered them. Reading aloud. Voice reverent. Then we honor her by living loud. The ceremony dawned golden. Gulls wheeling. Vows exchanged under an arch of wild roses. Adeline promising truth as our algorithm. Elena vowing loyalty rewritten daily. Rings slid on sapphire for sea. Emerald for eyes. Sealing with a kiss that tasted of salt and forever. Honeymoon in Mendocino. Cabins nestled in fern groves. Days hiking redwoods. Nights in clawfoot tubs. Bubbles and bodies entwined. They talked legacy, adopting one day. Perhaps. Or fostering like Marla once dreamed. A family of our making, Elena said. Tracing Adeline's ring. Fall brought harvest. The case against Harlan's estate. Filed as wrongful death. Media frenzy reignited. Headlines screaming Heiress exposes patriarch sin. But Adeline faced it head-on. Pressers with Elena at her side. Hand in hers. Caldwell testified. Crumbling. Harlan confessed once. Drunk. I buried it for shares. The jury deliberated days. Tension coiling like fog. Verdict. Liable. Settlement poured into a foundation, Vivian's voice. Funding mental health for surveilled communities. Queer youth shelters. Theo inherited his trust. Lila a portion for art programs. Winter quieted the storm. Adeline and Elena renovated the loft. Walls knocked for light. A studio for Vivian's restored works. Theo crashed often. Game nights devolving to deep talks. His coming out as bi. Fears mirroring Adeline's youth. One eve. Snow rare in the city dusting sills. They hosted Marla and Lila. Fireside tales flowing. Laughter bridged gaps. Toasts to the women who stayed. As midnight told. Elena pulled Adeline to the balcony. City aglow. We made it. Adeline leaned in. Lips brushing. And we'll keep making. Their kiss deepened. Hands wandering under coats. Promise of warmth within. Spring 2027 unfurled petals of renewal. Adeline and Elena's marriage a garden tended with care. Unseen expanded nationally. Satellites in Chicago's South Side. Austin's vibrant scene. Coders and counselors collaborating. Stories surfacing like crocuses after frost. Adeline traveled. Keynotes in panel-lined halls. Elena joining when briefs allowed. Their hotel nights a ritual of reconnection. Champagne toast. Bodies rediscovering in starched sheets. Theo graduated USF. Cap airborne in a sea of cheers. Adeline and Elena whooping loudest. Post-ceremony dinner at Zuni's. Oysters and tales. His internship at a nonprofit. Lila beaming. Marla toasting to sons and daughters of storms. But growth invited weeds. Arrival app launch slick. Corporate-backed, poaching users with ads that whispered safety over anarchy. Downloads dipped. Trolls amplified. Adeline burned late. Tweaking code. Elena massaging temples. It's war, Adeline muttered. Screen glare hollowing cheeks. Elena closed the laptop. Then fight smart. We're Beaumont-proof now. The pivot. Partnerships with ACLU. Features for live-streamed protests encrypted. Unbreakable. Search followed. Users doubling. Media dubbing Adeline, the ethical disruptor. Summer solstice marked 2 years since Harlan's grave. They returned to Presidio. Lanterns relaunched. Now joined by Foundation grantees, survivors sharing litanies of light. Elena's speech wove Vivian's threads. Grief codes us. But love debugs. After. In the estate's garden, now community plots. Veggies for shelters. They danced barefoot on dew-kissed grass. Fireflies winking. Adeline's head on Elena's shoulder. Sway sinking. This is legacy, she whispered. Elena's hum vibrated. Ours. Fall brought harvest of another kind, pregnancy. Not theirs, surrogacy explored. A friend from the app circle offering. Consults in sunlit clinics. Dreams sketched over brunch. A little coder, Elena joked. Hand on Adeline's belly. Though empty yet. Challenges arose. Board remnants suing anew. Claiming foundation funds, misappropriated. Elena dismantled them in court. Precedent stacking like bricks. Victory tasted sweeter shared. A weekend in Napa. Vines heavy. Tastings dissolving into laughter. Winter deepened bonds. Holidays with Theo and Lila in Oregon. Marla's tree trimmed with queer icons. Sylvia Rivera ornaments. Audre Lorde quotes etched glass. Gifts exchanged. Adeline's for Elena. A custom laptop etched with laurels. Elena's. A pendant Vivian's swirl in silver. New Year's Eve. Castro aglow. They joined parades, drag queens strutting. Banners for unseen. Confetti rained. Adeline pulling Elena into a alley kiss. Urgent and alive. To us, she gasped. Back home. Lovemaking celebrated. Elena's tongue tracing paths. Adeline's cries echoing. Release of fireworks burst. Spring 2028 bloomed miracles. Surrogate news viable. Ultrasounds flickered hearts. Tiny flutters sinking to theirs. Names brainstormed, river for the bay. Sage for resilience. But joy shadowed. An old ally betrayed. Beta tester selling data to core. Backlash hit. Lawsuits. User exodus. Adeline spiraled. Nights pacing. Elena's arms insufficient. It's crumbling, Adeline wept one dawn. Rain lashing pains. Elena cupped her face. Rebuild. Like always. The fix. Open source the core. Community forks. Transparency won back trust. Growth exponential. Summer birth. A girl. Juniper Vos Beaumont. Mewling in Adeline's arms. Elena's tears falling. Hospital room bloomed flowers. Theo uncle proud. Marla grandma gushing. Fall walks in Golden Gate Park. Juniper bundled. Leaves crunching. Adeline nursed under oaks. Elena reading briefs one-handed. She's our debug, Elena said. Adeline smiled. Our open source. Winter cradled them. Foundation Gala raised millions. Vivian's canvas centerpiece. Speeches lauded. From surveillance to sanctuary. A snow dusted again. Adeline watched Elena rock Juniper. Heartful. Betrayals faded. Scars to strength. Years wove forward. Threads of time stitching wounds to wisdom. By 2032, Juniper toddled Castro streets. Chubby fists waving rainbow flags at pride. Adeline and Elena's home, a Victorian in no. Bought with foundation funds, echoed laughter. Theo's visits with his partner. A poet named Kai. Marla's annual casseroles. Lila's art classes in the garden. Unseen globalized. Notes in Berlin. Cape Town activists sinking against regimes. Adeline consulted for UN panels. Elena arguing precedents in The Hague. Dates persisted. Sunset picnics. Hands laced. Juniper napping in slings. Challenges evolved. Juniper's questions pierced. Why Grandpa bad? Adeline knelt. Honest. He hurt people. We heal it. Theo married Kai in a backyard right. Harlan's absence of freed space. Lila danced with Marla. Unlikely friends blooming. Elena's firm specialized queer rights. Tech ethics, cases one stacking like victories. One night. Post-trial. She came home exhilarated. Scooping Juniper. Cleared a transcoder, freedom of code and self. Adeline pulled her clothes post-bedtime. Kitchen dim. My hero. Kiss ignited. Counters clearing dishes. Bodies urgent, Elena's fingers expert. Adeline's gasps muffled in necks. Climax quake. Love reaffirmed. Summer 2035. Family road trip. Route 1 to Big Sur. Mustang packed. Juniper chattering. Theo and Kai trailing. Campfires crackled stories, Vivian swirls. Harlan's thorns. Redemptions earned. Fall brought Juniper's school start. Backpack slung. Elena tearing up. She's fierce like her mom's. Winter holidays swelled. Multi-gen feast. Tables groaning. Toasts circled to bridges built. Codes cracked. Spring 2040 Juniper's 10th. App internet unseen. Eyes bright. Adeline watched her code. Elena's arm around waist. Full circle. Elena's whisper. Infinite loop. Challenges lingered, global hacks. Personal doubts, but they navigated. Therapy sessions fortifying. One eve. Bridgelit. Adeline proposed renewal vows. 15 years. Renew. Elena grinned. Eternally. Ceremony small. Same cliff. Juniper ring bearer. Vows updated. Through glitches and grace. Summer travels. Italy. Juniper sketching canals. Nights in villas. Love-making lazy. Fingers tracing age-softened skin. Pleasures deepened. Fall reflections. Memoir penned. Unseen threads. Bestseller healing multitudes. Winter 2045. Silver anniversary. Gala for foundation. Vivian's legacy honored. Dances swirled. Elena's hand steady. The snow fell. Home quiet. Juniper asleep upstairs. Adeline and Elena on porch swing. Worth every thorn, Adeline said. Elena kissed her temple. Every bloom, their love. A living code evolving. Enduring. Decades danced on. Time's patina gilding joys and griefs. By 2055, Juniper led Unseen's AI ethics wing. Her innovations, neural nets for narrative justice, earning Nobel's whispers. Theo and Kai fostered 3. Boisterous dinners filling the Victorian. Adeline and Elena. Lines etching faces like cherished code comments. Volunteered. mentoring queer youth in the mission, hands guiding over keyboards. Elena's hair silvered, Adeline's auburn faded, but touches sparked mornings in bed, slow explorations yielding sighs eternal. Marla passed gently, 2070, garden funeral under roses she planted. Lila followed, canvas legacy enduring. Theo's brood called them Nana Ada and Mama L. Stories of thorns spun as fairy tales. Challenges shifted, climate coders, virtual realities blurring consent. They advise. Elena's briefs sharp, Adeline's hacks adaptive. Anniversaries marked, pearl dives in Hawaii, sapphire skies over Yosemite. Lovemaking adapted, gentler rhythms, deeper intimacies, climaxes waves lapping shores. Juniper Weta engineer, union in the garden, Harlan's shade long banished. Grandkids tumbled, names like oak and sage, echoing roots. Winter 2080, Adeline's 80th, surprise party in the Presidio. Lanterns launched, foundation thriving. Speeches lauded, pioneers of heart. Elena's toast, to Adeline my debug, my dawn. Tears flowed, dances ensued, bodies swaying frail but fierce. Spring 2085, Elena's turn, health faltering. Adeline nursed, hands that once coated now soothing brows. We've built enough, Elena whispered. Breath labored. Adeline held her. One more loop. Summer slipped. Elena fading in sun-dappled bed. Last words. Love you always open source. Grave joined Vivian's. Bridge eternal. Adeline endured. Unseen her vigil. Winters came. Lanterns her ritual. Light for Elena. Harlan's truths transmuted to teachings. Juniper's kids asked, Nana L's story? Adeline smiled. Eyes distant. She protected the light. And we let it shine. Decades later. 2100. Adeline's plot filled. Circle closed. Legacy pulsed. Apps evolving. Loves remembered. In fog-kissed mornings. Ghosts walked, Adeline and Elena. Hands clasped. Whispering codes of forever. Humanity. In their weave. Found grace. Betrayal to bond. Secrets to songs. Thorns to triumphs blooming eternal.